Hello and welcome back to iBluAirJgR Gaming for Comedy. This is the wisecracking, airborne Birdman himself, Benedict, the Peacekeeper attacker. Air support has arrived. This bird has some serious southern charm. Anyway, what's on the itinerary for today? A few things. First, accents and why it's important to know how to imitate at least one. Second, why "cheers love, cavalry's here" is the most annoying phrase in the universe. It's stuck in my head and it's been stuck there for months. In any case, Battleborn has Benedict classified as an agile pusher, but I'm more keen on calling him an airborne pusher. With 2 wings and the ability to reach heights that no other Battleborn can with ease, Benedict can rain fiery death from unconventional and unpredictable angles, giving your team a clear advantage over those who can't think in 3 dimensions. Benedict's first ability is Hawkeye. He fires a rocket that damages enemies it hits and enemies within its blast radius. Damaged enemies become targeted for a few seconds. Subsequent rockets home in on targeted enemies. His second ability is Liftoff. This ability launches Benedict into the air. His ultimate ability is Boomsday. Benedict launches a player-guided missile that deals massive damage in a large area once it makes contact with an enemy, an ally, or terrain. Benedict's passive ability is Flyboy. In addition to having the ability to double jump, Benedict can glide by holding his secondary attack button. Last but certainly not least, Benedict's primary weapon is a rocket launcher. It fires powerful but slow-moving projectiles that deal area damage. His rocket launcher must be reloaded 1 rocket at a time. Alright, it's time to get this party started. Let's begin the in-flight entertainment with the first ability in the Helix, Evasive Pattern Benedict. Liftoff is now, instead of sending you straight up, it's going to send you backwards. So this is going to increase Benedict's mobility. And before we continue talking about Benedict, because he's a really interesting guy, let's take a look at the teams. My team is Shane and Aurochs, Galt, Toby, Melka, and myself as Benedict. The enemy team is Miko, Galilea, Shane and Aurochs, Arendi, and another Benedict. So we got a little bit of a mirror. Enemy team has support, we don't, so this is going to be an interesting matchup. Let's see how things play out. So, Benedict, what is he all about? What's the deal with this Birdman? Well, he's a pusher, so if you know anything about this game, then you know he excels at killing minions. He's kind of like Oscar Mike in that sense that he can just clear waves of minions relatively quickly. He starts off, it's a little bit slow because of his rate of fire, and he doesn't have too many abilities at his disposal that are super efficient at that until the later ranks, but he deals area damage, so if you get those minions clustered up as they are now, you're just going to be able to do a massive amount of damage. It takes a little while because the rate of fire on the rockets is a bit slow, but it's still pretty good. And already we've got some action going on. We're seeing that liftoff pretty early because Shane and Aurochs, the enemy, is being a bit aggressive, so I'm going to take to the skies. Now, one of the biggest weaknesses of Benedict is the fact that if you are caught anywhere on the ground by anyone, you're probably going to get chewed up really bad, and it's going to hurt, and it's not going to be pretty. So Benedict, you need to be in the sky right now. I know I'm kind of chilling on the floor right now, but that's the main reason I am here on the ground, is because I do have liftoff available to me. So if things do get a little bit hairy, I can just take to the skies and it won't be a problem. So it's all about maintaining a vantage point over your enemy, because if you get caught, look at that, just clearing that distance. I thought he was a little bit closer than that. I got a little bit scared. You know, when you ruffle a bird's feathers, they're gonna take flight. That's what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's all about maintaining that vantage point with Benedict. And the reason why is because Benedict gets chewed out if he's on the ground, because he's vulnerable when he's on the ground. He's also vulnerable in the air if the enemy team has a sniper. Thankfully, there's no marquee on the enemy team, but before we continue talking about that, make some room. Liftoff is now going to push nearby enemies away from Benedict. So in addition to pushing myself back, it's going to push enemies back. This is just going to make me incredibly hard to take down. And once again, using that liftoff to just clear and traverse the map very effectively. So that's the power of Benedict. Before we talk about the fact that he gets violated by snipers, traversing the map, that is his main strength. Looks like Galileo is going to start attacking us, but we do have liftoff ready, so I ain't worried about it. I'm not worrying about nothing when liftoff is available to me. But moving around the map is his biggest strength. He can just jump, he can start flying, he can get from side to side. I forgot to mention we are on the Meltdown game mode, so whenever there's anything going on, Benedict, he has the ability to be there, and he has the ability to get there quickly, right? Because air support, it's coming, and now it's here. That's the deal with Benedict. You know, you just have to move around the map, stay in the air, maintain control of where you're positioned, and then you're gonna have a good time, right? So looks like Galilea's trying to sneak up behind us, but she's not going to catch the Birdman. She's not going to catch me because I got liftoff ready. It's actually got a fairly short cooldown, so that does give you a lot of options as far as escape goes. But if somebody does catch you while it is on cooldown, like if Galilea was being a little bit more aggressive towards me, she could potentially take me out because I'm not exclusively flying. You know, Benedict isn't fast, right? He's not very fast. When he's in the air, especially when he's, you know, doing that sort of air support thing, just kind of gliding around, shooting stuff in the air, sort of hovering a bit. Looks like that thumper turret's going to shoot me from halfway across the universe. That's not fair. And my rockets can't seem to reach it. That is unfortunate. But when Benedict is gliding, he's a very slow-moving target. And that is why snipers just completely violate him. And look at that pushback. Using liftoff to push myself and Galilea away. And she doesn't want anything to do with this. So I'm just going to go back to my lane, start dealing with what I need to deal with. Going to clear out those minions as best as possible. We're seeing that area damage. We're seeing that ability to push things back. But you know, we're also seeing the downside, right? It's the fact that I have to reload one rocket at a time. After I expend my full magazine of rockets, there's a bit of a dry area. There's that dry spell where you're like, there's nothing going on right now. But here we go. I'm already trying to get back to the other side of the map. It looks like I'm not going to make it on that one. That is unfortunate. So I'm going to have to go on the ground, and I don't like being there. But I do have liftoff available to me if things start to get hairy, and it looks like they are. Because Shane and Aurochs is trying to creep around, so I'm going to start launching that Hawkeye, but I am going to get grabbed out, and now I am in a vulnerable position because I don't have liftoff available, but he's not going to chase me too hard. Looks like I led him into Galt's trap on the floor, so that is going to save me, but we're seeing everything come into play with Benedict already. The fact that he is tremendously vulnerable when he's caught out on the ground without his liftoff available. So he's a very interesting character with a lot of clear weaknesses, but those weaknesses are far outweighed by his strengths. The fact that, you know, nobody can catch me at this point, you know, I could have died a couple times, but just the fact that I'm able to just jump around and just be wherever the map needs me to be, that is so valuable to the team. Benedict is such a team player. He's not that guy that needs to roam around and just kind of do whatever he wants to do, but you know, he's a team player. He's all about supporting the team in ways that other characters that can't really fly around can. And it looks like I'm in a bit of a sticky situation, so I'm just going to activate that liftoff, push myself all the way back to my side of the map, but I'm not ready to retreat because, you know, sometimes you got to stay even if you don't particularly want to, because, you know, fuck it, you know, you stay till the end, but it looks like I'm going to get grabbed out, but I do have liftoff available one more time. I'm going to push Shane and Aurochs back towards my side of the field, and I'm also going to save myself. I think it might be time for me to get the hell out of Dodge. I think I've stayed in this situation a bit too long. But it is also time to pick another ability, so we are going to do that, and what are we going to go for? I think one of the more valuable options with Benedict, but it really boils down to preference. Speedy delivery. This is going to increase the speed of your rockets, so your rockets are going to be a little bit easier to hit on moving targets. The alternative is reload speed. Yeah, they're both really good, and as far as gear is concerned with Benedict, I go for attack damage, reload speed. The belt, the other item that I have is damage reduction. But the only reason I'm bringing that is because it does have a special effect on it. Whenever I complete a reload, it increases my reload speed, so that's pretty nice for Benedict, considering I'm always kind of reloading, just always putting those rockets back into that launcher, putting those eggs in that basket. You know what I'm talking about. I'm trying to make as many bird puns as possible. Looks like this is not a good situation. It's time for me to get the hell back in the sky, so they can't really do anything to me. And you know, you can already sort of see the fact that people kind of get annoyed at the fact that Benedict can just fly around all the time, because the enemies Shane and Aurochs and Galilea didn't make any attempts to chase me as soon as I was back in the sky. So it's like that's one of his strengths as well, is being frustrated. It looks like I'm grabbed up again, but I do have liftoff available. I am going to hit that button as soon as it comes back. You're already seeing just liftoff whenever it's ready. And my Shane and Aurochs is being very aggressive. I don't really want to be up in this action, but we saw some of the gameplay right there with Hawkeye getting those lock-ons with those missiles, and that is one of the main things with Benedict when it comes to actually taking out players. So why don't we take a quick look at that again. Okay, so this isn't exactly the highlight reel of the century, but something to note about Hawkeye: if an enemy is damaged by the rocket, you will get the lock-on effect. So even if you don't actually hit someone with it, as long as you get them caught in the blast radius, your subsequent rockets are going to lock onto that target, making them a lot easier to hit. So that's something to keep in mind when you're using this ability. And that is going to it's going to give you so much killing power, especially later on when you get more Helix options that, that augment that ability. So let's get back into the action, shall we? I think we were right here. Okay, we're back exactly where we left off. So this isn't the most exciting match ever, but a lot of times when I play Benedict, it doesn't have to be really exciting, because when you're playing as a pusher, right, you want things to be under control. You want things to be in your favor. You want the enemy team to be in a situation where their minions are just always getting killed and they can't really, find a spot to advance. Right now the score is 165 to 104, so we have it's a small lead, but it's a pretty decent lead. That's a nice amount of, that's a nice bit of wiggle room. And that's something, if things keep going in the direction that they're going, that lead is just going to keep increasing. And when you're playing as a pusher, you have the ability to put that in your favor. You have the ability to keep, promoting the score to increase in your team's favor as opposed to the enemy team's favor. It's all about controlling things. Yeah, you don't have to go around hunting for kills. If there's minions around, then kill the minions instead of the players. It looks like I'm using that vantage point right now. It looks like I might actually want to go for that thumper turret. My damage output is pretty decent. I don't have all of my Helix options to make my rockets as strong as I want them to be. And it looks like I'm missing a little bit. It looks like I fired that into the floor or something, and I'm taking a bit of a pounding now, or should I say I'm taking a bit of a thumping. This is unfortunate. It looks like Miko throwing some knives at me. I'll come back for that later, or maybe right now. No, the shield's coming. There we go. That's what I'm talking about, killing the thumper turret. So that's another cool thing you can do with Benedict. You can go places where people can't really reach you and take out enemy base defenses. That's always something valuable to do, especially in this particular game mode. Destroying the enemy's base defenses, always valuable. Now, here's the thing that's going to take Benedict to the next level: a murder of rockets. This is going to add 2 extra projectiles to the Hawkeye ability. So originally it shoots 1 rocket, now it's going to shoot 2. Now Benedict, this is where you start to see the power of this character come into play. He's going to get a lot stronger as far as his burst potential is concerned when he has this ability. Galilea, she needs to leave me alone. And actually, wait a minute, this is kind of bad. I'm slowly losing elevation right now, and I've landed on the floor. I'm going to activate Hawkeye, but I'm going to get stunned, and here we go. Now we're starting to see the problem with Benedict. If you fuck around and you glide at the wrong time, you're going to hit the ground, and everybody's going to eat you for dinner. That is Kentucky Fried Hawk. That is KFH right there. Ugh, that was not pretty. I didn't like that very much. But Hawkeye, right? Once you get the ability to fire 3 rockets at the same time, Benedict's bursting ability is increased tremendously. So look at that, just 3 rockets going straight into that turret. Devastating amount of damage. In addition to that, it's got that great single target potential. If there's one enemy that needs to go down, fire those 3 rockets. But now the ability to clear out waves of minions is going to increase tremendously, right? Because shooting 3 rockets into a wave of minions, it's going to completely dominate that wave. That wave is going to be gone in an instant. So that is the power of the triple rocket. And hopefully I do a good job of showing off that true potential. Like this situation right here, this would be an ideal situation to use that triple rocket, but I'm messing around, kind of holding on to cooldown. So that's something that takes a little bit of an adjustment with Benedict and certain characters that have that are built around using their cooldowns effectively, is holding on to them. You don't always need to hold on to your cooldowns, right? So sometimes it's better to use them And in a lot of situations with Benedict, using that Hawkeye to clear a wave of minions is pretty much just as valuable as saving it for, you know, trying to assassinate somebody pretty quickly. And looks like the enemy Benedict, he's traveling pretty low on the ground. We actually haven't seen too much with him. He is going to take flight, and unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to take him out. He's one shot away, but he's doing a bit of a serpentine movement in the air, so I'm not going to be able to take him out. But looks like Shane and Aurochs is going to be on the ground. They're going to be in the trap, so I'm going to try and do a little bit of damage. Galt is just grabbing people from across the map. This is very devastating. Looks like I got a little bit of vengeance on... Wait a minute, I got the ultimate. When did that come out? I'm going to launch it off immediately after leveling up. It's not going to kill anyone, but it is going to hit Miko directly on the tip of his head, and that is going to do some damage to him, incentivize him to get the hell back and maybe not be so aggressive. And now we're going back to the other side, and here we go. It's time to activate that Hawkeye, get those 3 rockets directly on Arendi's face, and now she is gone. That is the power of the triple rocket. That is a tremendous amount of damage coming out in a very quick instant. Shane and Aurochs on the ground. I'm just going to jump up. It looks like I'm trying to get a little bit more aggressive now that I have the ability to launch 3 rockets at the same time. I'm almost looking for a fight at this point. I'm trying to peck somebody's eyes out. I'm starting to feel the power now that I can fire more rockets. You know, Benedict, he does start off a little bit slow, but once you start getting those extra abilities, but you know, it's unfortunate she's going to put up that shield, but you know what? Get the hell out of here, girl. You're not going to hurt nobody with that thing. That's what it's all about. So once you start to get more abilities with certain characters, you start to really feel like you can play a little bit more aggressively, and it looks like I've got some additional options to select. I am going to go for Gladiator. This is going to give you a second air jump, so it's going to make it so that you can glide a little bit easier, you can hover for a little bit longer, and next we're going to go for Heavy Bombardment. Your homing rockets deal increased damage to enemies, so that's extra damage on Hawkeye. That's just making you a little bit more devastating, well, a lot more devastating actually, because you're firing 3 of those rockets, getting some serious damage on the targets. It's very powerful. Now, at this point, we have scored 250 points, so it's time for us to move on to the second set of grinders. So we are going to have to push a little bit further in order to continue scoring points. And it looks like the enemy Shane and Aurochs is going to grab me out, but liftoff is available, so I'm going to go into the air. But I didn't use my glide properly. I just sunk right back to the ground. It looks like I'm going to fire the ultimate directly at the floor because I assumed Shane and Aurochs was chasing after me, and they were. And it looks like Galilea is coming as well, but I am going to back up. I'm going to fall back. And it looks like Toby, my fellow Birdman, is going to clean up the kills for me. That is very good. I'm glad he had my back in that situation. That's my bird brother right there. He done saved my life. He done saved me. He's the ground support and I'm the air support. That's what I'm talking about. But anyway, let's fast forward. Let's skip right back into the action. So right, we have advanced to the second set of grinders, so we're going to have to start pushing a little bit more. We're going to have to get rid of those thumper turrets. We're going to have to start being a little bit more aggressive. This game has been going fairly well for us. We haven't had too much trouble with anything. The enemy Benedict, this is what really separates, you know, a Benedict that's playing the character properly and a Benedict that just hasn't truly mastered all of his abilities, right? It's you have to be willing to be flexible. You have to think in 3 dimensions. You know, we saw it in the corner of the screen. I don't know if you saw it, but the enemy Benedict was actually running on the floor. And, you know, I run on the floor sometimes, but I try and spend as much time as possible in the air. And we're already seeing that triple jump come into play. I mistimed it, but I was able to get to the ledge that I was aiming for, and now I'm just taking out the base defenses, so our minions are going to be able to push a little bit easier, and just nobody can reach me. Once I'm on my perch, can't nobody do nothing to me, can't nobody hurt me. If somebody starts shooting, I'm gonna just fly away. What are they going to do while I'm up here? Nothing. That's Benedict for you, ladies and gentlemen. That is Benedict. Now, once again, something that I don't do enough of is I don't use Hawkeye enough to clear minion waves, because it's a very powerful ability. It's definitely something on par with the Fragcendiary Grenade augmentation from Oscar Mike, and this is just rudeness right here. I'm firing my ultimate directly at Miko, trying to chase him out. I saw he was a little bit low on health, but it isn't going to be enough to kill him. That is unfortunate, but I don't use Hawkeye enough as much as I should to clear out waves of minions, because we saw once that it has the power to just completely dominate an entire wave, and that's something that you can really do with Benedict to show that you are truly a pusher. I'm doing really well at rotating around the map, moving around a lot. Before we continue, that danger zone, this is going to increase the area of effect radius of your rockets, allow them to hit more targets. But, you know, I'm doing a good job of moving around the map, but I'm not clearing out as minions as quickly as I should be doing, because, you know, I have the ability to just boom, 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 shooting those triple rockets. I should be clearing out waves a lot faster. So that's definitely something to keep in mind when you are playing Benedict. use those cooldowns whenever you can, right? Like, don't worry too much about holding on to them. And wait a minute, I'm being crazy right now. I'm going straight for Miko's face, and it looks like I'm not going to be able to finish him off because he is going to have his ultimate ready. He's going to put his own mushroom tip on the floor and use it to heal himself up. And now Galilei is chasing me out, but I am going to glide back to safety. I'm going back to Toby, my bird brother. I'm going to hide behind his armor, and he is actually going to get stunned because I was like, sort of running. And Galilei, she's got horse blinders on. She attacks whatever's in front of her. That's probably a mistake that a lot of Galilei players make. And here we go. I'm taken to the skies once again. At this point, I'm being aggressive, and I think it's paying off. I'm going to shoot Galilea directly in the face, and I'm going to get the first taunt off for the game. That is definitely devastating. It looks like Shane and Aurochs is actually chasing me out, so I'm going to run, and I'm actually going to get punished. Probably shouldn't have taunted in that situation. That's instant karma for you. Okay, so let's get right back into the action. My team still has a pretty significant lead. The lead has increased to over 100 points, so this is just, the enemy team has been backed up into their base, and they just don't seem to have the, it's a mix of aggression, coordination, and wave clear. And here we go. We're seeing that triple Hawkeye into just firing some rockets. That's the power. That's something you should do with Benedict as often as you can. Whenever you see a big fat juicy wave coming, fire that Hawkeye, get those things cleared out. Once again, taking out the base defenses. This is where Benedict excels. Look at it, this is a huge wave. This is a full wave of minions, a shepherd and a giant minion. That is a ridiculous number of points. So that's what you want to do with Benedict. You want to get that money in the bank, as we see myself typing. Now, the next ability I'm going to select, I am going to reduce the cooldown of liftoff by 25%. This is going to allow me to feel a little bit safer, a little bit more often. So, you know, liftoff, it's a very crucial aspect of Benedict's gameplay. So with that reduced cooldown, it's only a 12-second cooldown now, so I can use it very often. Looks like I activated Hawkeye, but I'm going to miss all 3 rockets. I probably activated a little bit too soon in that situation, but I am going to continue the assault because my teammate is in the action. I think that's Melka. I'm going to use liftoff. I thought it might have pushed Shane and Aurochs away, but I don't think it hit him. Going to fire off the ultimate directly in his face. I'm being very aggressive with that ultimate ability, and now once again I am stuck in a situation where liftoff is not ready, but it is ready now. That is the power of reducing that cooldown. It comes back a little bit faster, allows you to escape a little bit more often, and nobody is going to chase after me. It's just, you know, it's frustrating to chase after a Benedict that is being, you know, very liberal with how often they use liftoff. So that's definitely something you want to keep in mind. Use that liftoff as much as you can. Shane and Aurochs looks like he was trying to grab me right out of the sky, and that would have been terrible if he succeeded at that. It looks like he is actually chasing me. I heard the ticks, and I was taking damage from his stealth aura, but I am going to be in the sky, so he's not really going to be able to do too much. Landed one of my Hawkeye rockets on Miko. I'm not going to get the kill, but somebody else is going to devastate him, so that's always good. And here we go. Now, my team doesn't have a healer, and that's actually been something that's plaguing us from the beginning of the match. It looks like the enemy Benedict is almost going to take me out. I'm going to activate that liftoff, and then I'm going to look up to the sky. It's almost as if I'm saying, "Bird Jesus, take the wheel." And it looks like he took it. He started driving, and now I'm safe. That's what I'm talking about. So that's the power of liftoff. When it does propel you backwards, it makes it such a quick escape. You can get out of dodge very, very efficiently. Now, we're going to skip right back into the action. As always, going to spawn a giant... Well, not going to spawn a giant minion. Why? Why are we not spawning a giant minion? I wonder what the reason for that could be. I will tell you what the reason for that is. My wave of minions just respawned, and I want my giant minion to push with my wave of regular minions, right? So if the giant minion is in the presence of the shepherd minion and the little minions, it's going to have extra protection. The shepherds are going to provide it with an overshield. It's going to be a little bit extra durable, and damn, shot the enemy Benedict right out of the sky and gave him a taunt, showing him that I am the true Benedict and he needs to never pick that character again. I'm kidding. He should keep playing Benedict, and he should learn from his mistakes. That's what it's all about. It's all about learning, ladies and gentlemen. Battleborn is a very complicated game, and if you're not trying to learn and master the characters, then you're not really playing Battleborn. Every character is so versatile, so diverse. There's so many different ways to play each and every character, so many nuances, so many little things. Like right now, I am just putting on some siege work on the enemy Arendi. I've gotten her low on her health, and now I'm firing that mega missile. Boom. Boomsday has arrived, and I'm going to taunt just because it's time to get a little bad-mannered at this point. We do have a significant lead. We're kind of stomping on him. Whatever, you know, let's get it. Okay, so the majority of this match, I'm pretty much doing the same sort of tips and tricks that I've been doing from the beginning, using those vantage points, taking out the thumpers from an elevated position, making sure that I'm not in a position to get chewed out by the enemy team, trying to stay off the ground, not putting myself in any compromising positions. I've made my home on top of this ledge, but it's time to leave. It's time to clear out some minions so my minions can push a little bit easier. And that's what it's all about with Benedict. This definitely wasn't the most intense match ever. It was pretty good, but sometimes you get a team, you queue up for a random group, and you get a team where everybody just kind of clicks and everybody just kind of works well together. Looks like Melka is actually getting hurt, and I am gonna launch her backwards with my liftoff. So that is one of the cool things you can do with that ability. You can use it as a defense for your allies, right? If somebody is actually getting hurt and you're standing next to them, you can push the enemy away. Unfortunately, they didn't retreat, so I guess the hard work that I put in to try and save their life didn't pay off, because in the end, they fell to the devil, Shane, and Aurochs. But, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You are going to keep trudging on. You're going to go for an aggressive play against the enemy Arendi. You're going to just start raining that death from above. Going to fire that boomstay once again, slinking around the corners. You are never safe from Benedict. Now we're being rude. This is just completely unsavory, what I'm doing right now. But you know what? Sometimes it's got to be done. These last two abilities, it really just boils down to preference, just increasing the area of effect damage of my boomstay, making the boom a little bit bigger. And then the other option that I took is just increasing the damage of Hawkeye. Okay, so we are going to actually skip to the end of the match. Nothing, particularly interesting happened between that last encounter and the end of the match. We are going to end up winning. I think it was pretty obvious that they weren't going to make any sort of dramatic comeback. That's unfortunate for them, but it's very fortunate for my team. But, not every match can be, this crazy epic battle for victory. But you know what? They put up a good fight. They didn't surrender. They played it out till the end, and they put up a good effort. And that's always a good thing. Sometimes even if you're gonna lose, just fight it out till the end, because you'll probably have a good time anyway. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. The name of the game is Battleborn. The channel is iBluAirJgR Gaming for Comedy. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.